Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We all watched it yesterday and I'm sorry I have to bring it to you. I have to see the reactions to last night's debate. It was amazing and I am impressed with the number of people that watched it the entire way through. There are opinions. We don't all have to agree, but let's all register to vote and get out there. But let's look at these reactions. I can't wait.
I just want to say, after surviving the PTSD of the last presidential debate, how unbelievably refreshing it is to go back to the same old, nobody's going to answer any questions. I actually think she's not going to be able to needle him.
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Damn! She has attacked what is Donald Trump's most cherished family member, his rally crowds. Donald, remember your training. The question is about why you killed the bipartisan immigration bill. You don't need to think about the other.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies.
Son of a...
People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
What just happened?
I'm watching the presidential debate and this just happened.
I was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
Did you catch that?
I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
If that's not a lie, that's a really fucking big classified bit of information to be shouting out around there.
Nearly 2 years ago, the Nord Stream pipelines, vital for transporting gas from Russia to Germany, were rocked by underwater explosions. The blasts caused major environmental damage and disrupted Europe's energy supply. German investigators recently zeroed in on a suspect, a Ukrainian diving instructor tied to a suspicious yacht. This suspect, along with 5 others, fled to Ukraine, complicating the investigation. Tensions escalated when Germany accused Poland of hindering their investigation. Poland denied these claims and pointed fingers at Russia, adding another layer of international drama. Meanwhile, Russia supports Germany's call for a thorough investigation, despite its own denial of involvement. As accusations fly and investigations continue, the world watches, eager for answers about this high-stakes sabotage. Like, share, and subscribe.
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires.
Good memes.
And I'll tell you, I
Good
believe
memes.
you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies.
She has to do personal attacks like this the whole time. She needs to say he has small hands. He will respond. He'll take the bait every time.
There's no reason
She needs
to
to
go.
have one
And
of these at the end of
people that
every
do go,
answer.
she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible
The
rallies
biggest
in the history of
rallies?
politics. That's because
Just
people
one
wanna
of these
take
at the end
the
of every
country back.
answer.
Our
He'll lose
country
his
is
mind.
being
It'll be
lost.
over.
We're a failing nation, and it happened 3.5 years ago.
All in all, I believe tonight Harris gave one of the best debate performances I have ever seen. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that could have made tonight any better for Kamala Harris.
Taylor Swift and a picture of her and her cat. She has just posted that she watched the debate tonight and that she is endorsing Kamala Harris.
I stand corrected.
Doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof, despite their fraudulent statements that they made. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with, Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies.
I'll let you respond, Vice President.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted.
Okay, Michael Steele, you were quite animated when I saw you in the hallway earlier about that debate.
Trying to be
I'm gonna see what you're gonna tell me. You think of the debate that you told me in the hallway. What was your take on the debate, Michael Steele? Go ahead. What was the key moment?
She spanked that ass. I'm sorry. That's what she did. She came and she walked on that stage. Look, for me, it's one of those things that you didn't realize happened until about 20 to 30 minutes into the debate. And it's what everyone's talked about. And for me, it was the pivotal, most important moment of the debate was when they were introduced. And Donald Trump came out, and if you watch, go back, I tell everybody to go back and watch this. He comes out, he goes direct to the podium. He is not, usually you go to the middle of the floor to greet your opponent. He went to the opponent, he had no intention of shaking her hand. She walked across the stage right into his space, stuck her hand out and said, Kamala Harris. First off, I'm saying my name so you get it right when you say it, which he never said once during the entire debate. 2, he never looked at her during the entire debate. And there was this point about 20 to 30 minutes in where that moment for me hit and resonated because she owned.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. That is what's happening in this country. And it's...
The reason Donald Trump did so well in this debate against Kamala Harris is because he's so used to overpowering women like her who fight back. And he doesn't care if they say no to his policies. Tonight, the American people got to see the real Kamala Harris because she didn't have a teleprompter in front of her. Donald Trump and I don't need a teleprompter. We actually have thoughts in our head. They're meandering and insane, but they are thoughts. Ugh, and that laugh. While she's laughing, the American people are deeply unhappy. Or at least I am. I mean, while she's laughing, the American people are suffering. And that's why every time I'm around my kids and they're having fun, I pause and I say, guys, remember, there are poor people out there who have it worse than us, who I have no intention of helping. She kept talking about women's rights, but keep letting illegals in here, Kamala, and you'll see that we adopt Sharia law in America. And then women's rights will be set back hundreds of years, when we're only trying to set them back like 80 or so. The American people until this week didn't even know Kamala's basic policies because she put them on her website in the dead of night. We would never try to hide what policies we want to enact, and that's why you can always find them on the Heritage Foundation website, heritage.org.
This war would be over within 24 hours because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia.
Jamie is live in Springfield, Ohio.
They're eating the dogs.
Have you ever come across an incident of a cat or a dog being whisked off the street to presumably be put in a pot by somebody?
Nope, that's not happened either.
Do you have pets?
I do. I have a cat, and if they took her, they'd bring her right back.
Look out at the nearest window and just tell us once again that you cannot see any evidence of what the former president is claiming.
We do have a pond in front of us full of geese right now, and they are not afraid.
Here's all the aftermath that's happened since Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris, including Trump's reaction, how Swift is now involved in the Harris campaign, and somehow Elon Musk is in this mess. As soon as the debate was over, Taylor Swift posted on Instagram endorsing Kamala Harris. It got over 1 million likes in 13 minutes, with many fans thinking this post was planned a while ago, because after the debate was over, Harris walked out to The Man by Taylor Swift. And I'm pretty sure you have to get like songs approved. If you weren't aware, Trump was using AI pictures of Taylor Swift. She addressed this in her post, saying that this was misinformation. And here was Trump's reaction to learning all this.
What is your reaction to Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris?
I have no idea.
He also went on to say that she always seems to endorse a Democrat and she'll probably pay the price for it in the marketplace. And then brought up how Brittany Mahomes is way better than Taylor Swift. Here was her running mate Walt's reaction to learning about this.
I don't think you know about this, but this was just posted online. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election.
All those things, I am incredibly grateful, first of all, to Taylor Swift. I say that also as a cat owner, a fellow cat owner.
And now the Harris and Waltz campaign is now selling friendship bracelets that say, "Are you ready for it?" And that's why many fans are saying, you know, maybe this is another clue that it was planned. At the end of her post, Taylor Swift said, "Childless cat lady." And this was in reference to Trump's running mate Vance, who got backlash for saying that the people that support Harris are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives. Randomly, Elon Musk chimed in saying, "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life." A lot of people are saying, oh, celebrities can't influence voting and the presidential election. All these stories and headlines and media attention all tie back just to Taylor Swift.
I'll say this right off the bat. I've watched a lot of presidential debates in my time. That was one of the better ones I've seen. The moderators did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. They held the line, but they gave in some different places, and I understood their giving. I also understood their taking away. I thought they did a phenomenal job. In the first block, I was frustrated a little bit, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I really wanted Vice President Harris to like answer the question, right? And I felt like she was trying to get into some stump speech type stuff, and in her attempt to get into the stump speech, she wasn't really landing up the question, and I was like, come on. And then she kind of found her groove. I think they both kind of found their groove in the middle there. And one of the things I thought about her strategy was like, one of the things that you do to an artist assist is you laugh at them. And it was very clear to me, like part of her strategy was to kind of emote a little bit, but emote specifically to things he's saying and laugh at him. And specifically when she got into the whole thing about crowd sizes, he did not like that. And then we got to the second block. I'll admit once again that her response on the answer about she was once black and now she's not, I don't know if she wasn't expecting that question. She should have been ready for it, and it felt like she wasn't ready for it. Obviously, it's a sensitive issue talking about your racial identity, but it felt like she kind of fumbled her way through the answer. And then Donald Trump, in essence, saved her by his response to her and gave her the ability to get into a stump, which made it so that, and then they got into the healthcare question, which she nailed. The question on Ukraine was her best answer of the night. The way she talked about the war in Ukraine was the best moment for her and one of the worst. And something that he kept talking about was like, I know Putin very well. I know him very well. And like, I could tell you for sure, I talked to him. Like, it did, especially with the allegations that are out there about him being a Russian puppet, it kind of fed into that. I like that there was some fact checking that was going on from the moderators. Also, she fact checked him a couple times. Ultimately, I think that she had a better debate than he did. I didn't really expect him to be able to hold things together, and he kind of got into some of his grievance politics at different points. But overall, yeah, there was some moments. I was a little worried in a couple spots there, but I think she did a good job. I think if I'm on her team, I'm really saying, like, we need to lock up some of the questions let's watch the film and then let's lock up some of these questions. But ultimately, for me, the question about race is important. But ultimately, I think that she prevailed in this debate. I obviously have my biases. I was coming into it. He did a much better in this debate than I expected him to do. I'll name that. And I think that her experience as a prosecutor worked in her favor. Her ability to kind of poke at him worked in her favor. She's gonna have to sharpen some things going into this next debate, especially if it's live in front of a group of people who will not be friendly to her. And he's gonna feed off of that energy. But overall, that was one of the better debates I've seen. I know I said that at the beginning, but this is one of the better debates I've seen in a very long time. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Donald Trump put Kamala Harris in her place tonight, right here.
I get broads in Atlanta, Tristan Dublin and shit, sipping fountain. Credit cards and the scammers, wake up beside this shit, let designer.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming.
So the debate ended just moments ago, and here's my assessment. I think on pure policy that the Vice President Kamala Harris won on policy and on substance. Now, I do believe that Donald Trump steamrolled the Vice President and the debate moderators. He talked over them. He came off as a bully. And according to probably MAGA, his supporters, they think that he won. But I believe that she won on substance. But here is what got me. The debate moderators would cut the vice president off and tell her she's out of time. And then Donald Trump would start talking, his microphone would be off, and they would open up his microphone and give him more time to speak and give him the last word on just about everything. I'm not exactly sure why that happened. And when she tried to talk, the moderators would cut her off and not allow her to talk. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why that happened, but I do believe overall that this helped the vice president with independent voters and with most voters in America. And it hurt Donald Trump, I believe, but it did help him with his MAGA supporters because he came off as such a bully. My 2 cents.
My God, today. If you all don't take anything else away from this presidential debate tonight, I want you to hear me and hear me clear when I say this, okay? Don't do drugs. I don't care what they're offering you. I don't care what kind of peer pressure you're under. Don't do drugs. It will have long-lasting effects on your body and mind well into your 70s and 80s. Okay, you need to also go to the doctor and get tested, okay? Untreated syphilis will also present as mental illness problems, okay? Do you hear me? Also a UTI. You need to go make sure everything is everything. Do you hear me? I can't do it. I won't go back and I can't. I don't care if it was a 3-legged blind raccoon on the blue side. That's where I'm voting. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Don't do drugs and don't have sex. That is coming from me. What else? How do you abort a baby after it's born? I can't.
I am definitely not necessarily happy about the debate performance from Trump tonight. I'm going to give him a C-, and I'll tell you why. He brought up the fact that cost is high for a lot of people in terms of goods. That's true. He brought up the fact that immigration is a problem. That's true. In his ending statement, he said, Kamala Harris is promising to fix all of these things, but she's the vice president today. What is she doing about them now? I thought that was a good point. It would have been a better point, though, if he would have said it in the actual debate, so she could have potentially responded or not responded. That would have been a good moment for him. But that's the thing. There were so many good moments I was watching thinking, oh, he's going to jump in when given the opportunity to rebut. He's going to say this, and he didn't. He started meandering all over the place. He was talking about people eating cats and birds. I mean, it was like, what's going on here? Kamala Harris was baiting Trump. She was getting under his skin. And guess what? Donald Trump fell for one of the oldest playbooks in the game. He allowed her to knock him off his focus, and she did it effectively, and he fell for it.
And what came through tonight, a couple things came through very clearly. Number one, Harris definitely got help from the moderators, right? They were fact-checking Trump hard. They were going after Trump much harder than her. The questions for Trump were more pointed than they were for her. But I don't know that she needed that much of the help because she so effectively baited him again and again and again. When early in the debate, she alluded to what they said at the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. I thought, can Trump resist that? Because he went to Penn and he's very proud of that. Can he resist it? He could not resist it. And again, she got him off talking points by doing it. And my verdict is she prepared. He did not prepare. He famously doesn't like to prepare. He famously doesn't like to do his homework. And she did. And you could tell tonight.
Just a few of the claims, false claims, that Donald Trump made last night. CNN senior reporter, resident fact checker Daniel Dale is with us. You have been busy, my friend.
I have, sir. The fact check story of the night was the staggering dishonesty of former President Trump. I counted at least 33 false claims from him, and I think that might be a generous count, versus 1, maybe 2 false claims from Vice President Harris, though she did also add a smattering of misleading or lacking in context claims. Let's go through this wild list of false Trump claims, John. Some of them are just egregious lies. On the economy, he said tariffs do not raise prices on Americans. They do. He said his tariffs raked in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. Americans paid those billions. He said all of the jobs created under Biden and Harris are merely bounce back jobs from his administration. No, today's number is millions higher than back then. He said we have the worst inflation ever. No, the U.S. record is 23.7%. It is 2.9% today, down from a Biden-Harris era peak of 9.1%. He said there was no inflation when he was president. Prices actually rose a cumulative 8% when he was president. Then on immigration, he said migrants in an Ohio City, you heard, are eating people's cats and dogs. That is a baseless, debunked Facebook rumor, just nonsense. He said Harris is border czar. No, she never was. She had a more limited immigration-related diplomatic assignment. He said 21 million migrants have crossed the border under Harris. That is many millions too high. He said millions of people are entering monthly. There has not been a single month in the millions. He said many of the migrants are from foreign prisons or mental institutions. Even his own campaign has not been able to corroborate that. On abortion, he said every Democrat wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. That is just untethered to reality. Roe was supported by more than 80% of Democrats. Then he said every legal scholar wanted Roe overturned. A bunch of legal scholars have personally told me that they did not. He said Governor Tim Walz says it's fine to execute babies after birth. Walz never said that, and that is illegal in every single state. On foreign relations, he said $85 billion in U.S. equipment was left to the Taliban. That is a massive exaggeration. The Pentagon says the number is $7 billion. He said Iran didn't fund terror groups under him. Iran did, though its funding level did decline. He said he ended Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. No, he did authorize sanctions, but after it was more than 90% complete, and Russia resumed construction during his own presidency. He said the U.S. has provided far more aid to Ukraine than Europe has. It's the reverse. Europe has provided far more aid than the U.S. He said President Biden took millions of dollars from China. He did not. He added a false claim about Biden getting money from Russia. Again, nonsense. And he said Harris was sent to negotiate peace with Putin right before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Not only did that just not happen, the Kremlin says Harris has never once even spoken with Putin. Trump said he rebuilt the entire military. He did not. And then attacking Vice President Harris. He said Harris was the first candidate to drop out of the 2020 Democratic primary. There were actually 13 others who dropped out before her. He said Harris previously said she wasn't black. Total fiction. He said people don't attend Harris rallies. Thousands do indeed. He said people don't leave his own rallies early. Some do. And when it came to the 2020 election and his own legal troubles, he said there's so much proof the 2020 election was stolen. There is not. It was not. He said Nancy Pelosi turned down his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There's no evidence she even got such an offer. It was Trump, not the Speaker, who had the power to deploy the Guard. He said no judge even looked at the merits of his allegations about the 2020 election. Some judges actually did, and his side still lost those cases. He said the Justice Department was behind a variety of legal cases it had actually nothing to do with. And then a whole bunch of other lies on a variety of topics. He said crime is skyrocketing, is actually declining sharply. He said the Central Park Five pleaded guilty. They did not. They were wrongly convicted. He said those men killed someone. It was not even a murder case. He said he saved Obamacare when actually he tried to kill it and then weakened it. He said Harris has a plan to confiscate, quote, everybody's gun. She does not. In 2019, she supported a mandatory buyback of assault weapons in particular, and her campaign says she doesn't even support that now. John?
How long before the MAGA people of Springfield start killing and eating their own pets just to make Trump look like he's not insane? That's it.
Okay, so I saw the debate. But to be fair, my wife was taking her little sister to a school function. So it just happened to be at the same time the debate was. So I watched the debate. And it wasn't even close. The only thing that could have made it better is if during the opening statements, Kamala Harris said, "You're going to be hearing from my opponent phrases like unlike anybody's ever seen before or bigger than anybody has ever seen." If you hear anything like that, that whole phrase that happened before or after is a lie. And on another note, Taylor Swift has now endorsed Kamala Harris. And in her little message, I believe it was a tweet, she signed it, "Childless Cat Lady." I love that. So yeah, it's a big night for Harris.
His rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris.
So the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump just concluded, and my immediate reaction is Kamala Harris wiped the floor with him. I think this picture perfectly sums up what took place tonight. America, along with Kamala Harris, was laughing at Donald Trump. He was spiraling. He made no sense. He didn't lay out any policy, and he took the bait every single time. All he did was lie tonight. He lied about pets being eaten in Ohio. What? And on women's reproductive rights, he sounded more extreme than ever. He defended what happened on January 6th, and he still says he didn't lose the 2020 election. This guy is off his rocker. Kamala Harris perfectly prosecuted the case against Donald Trump tonight. I think we all saw that. And for any undecided American who watched that debate tonight, I don't think they're undecided anymore. I don't know how anybody from either side of the aisle could look at Donald Trump's performance and think that he's fit to serve. He is clearly not, and Kamala Harris clearly is. She needs to be the next president of the United States.
Make no mistake about it. Trump had a bad night.
Whoever did debate prep for Donald Trump should be fired.
This was pretty much her night.
You're saying she had a good night?
I'm saying she certainly did.
Talk about migrants eating dogs and cats. I mean, that's something Saturday Night Live would do.
He was awful tonight. She, on the other hand, was very well prepared.
He was terrible tonight. Former President Trump did take a lot of the bait that she threw out.
He took all the bait and none of the opportunities. She pivoted better.
He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him.
She baited a former president of the United States to chase every rabbit down every hole.
He was childish. He was creepy. He was cringy.
And we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically.
He was wholly unprepared.
Vice President Harris was clearly well prepared, practiced on the offensive much of the night.
He went down a few cat and dog holes rather than rabbit holes tonight.
All right, you guys. So the debates happened last night. I hope you tuned in. If you did not get a chance to tune in, you can go back and rewatch it. I highly encourage you to watch it. Now, who do I think won the debates? I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know, who do you think won the debate and why? I personally think that Kamala was very well spoken. I will give her that. She held her own on the stage. She was well spoken. She had a lot of things memorized. She seems as if she was very well rehearsed. Not knocking for her for that whatsoever. You should be prepared in the debate. Trump, he did let her get under his skin, which I knew. I'm like, come on, Trump. You cannot fall for the bait, the bait that she's putting out, the large crowds. He instantly was like, oh, let me tell you. And I think it's because he's like a TV personality, so that's what he looks for is, large crowds and the ratings on the TV. He's always talking about that. So he fell for the bait. I will say that he did excellent with the race question. Why the moderators, and we're going to get to the moderators in just a minute, why the moderators even brought up race whatsoever is beyond me. But he answered and handled that question awesome. And I believe Kamala was well prepared for that answer, as in my opinion, she got that question beforehand. Let me just tell you about all the race and issues in America. Like, come on, lady, calm down. She instantly should have been like, who cares about race? Let's move on to the next question, just like Trump did. I'm so sick of the identity politics. All right, the moderators. The moderators freaking suck. Can we get some actual journalists, some actual real journalism in America and not people that are just going to suck on freaking Kamala's... I cannot stand moderators that don't push back on both candidates. Did you guys notice that they only fact-checked Trump? Never Kamala, not once. Go rewatch it if you do not remember. They did not fact-check her one time. One time. It is absolutely obvious, plain as day, that they are in the palm of her hand, and they are literally just making sure to lift her up because they want to ensure she wins this election. My final thoughts. I believe Kamala did win this one, but I also don't think that it was fair that it was 3-on-1 in the entire debate overall. The moderators, literally, like I said, were on her side. They were defending Kamala whenever they were talking to Trump. I'm like, is this supposed to be a 1-on-1 battle or a 3-on-1 battle? So that wasn't fair, and the odds were stacked against him. With that being said, he did okay. Everything he said, we kind of already know. It's kind of already baked in the cake, so to say. We know his policies. We know what he stands for. He should have pushed back a lot harder on Kamala flip-flopping. There was a lot that he could have done to show the American people exactly who Kamala is. I'm hoping that he's going to run some campaign ads and kind of just get people to know exactly who Kamala is, because a lot of people don't know. They're just running on, joy and vibes and black woman and all of the identity politics and no policies. Let me know in the comments what you think overall of the debate. Who won, who lost, and just any thoughts. I want to hear from you.
All right, guys, that's all the videos that I put together for you. There are so many to choose from. I tried very hard to put together a diverse group and diverse opinions. Now, for my own opinion, I think Kamala Harris did a fantastic job. And I think it was disturbing how easily Donald Trump could be upset, right? And vindictive and become angry and vile and animated. It was scary. It's funny to me how men will or people will try to say that, oh no, you can't have a woman in power because she's so emotional and she won't be able to control herself. And then we see Donald Trump. And I'm like, well, isn't that just the epitome of someone who is unable to control their emotions? It didn't take but 14, 15 minutes into the debate for him to start yelling about my immigrants eating dogs because he saw it on TV. I mean, doesn't it sound like MTG trying to explain why she got into, what is it, Al-Anon or whatever that group is with Trump, and oh, well, she got into that conspiracy because she saw it online. Aren't our politicians supposed to be, have more fortitude than that? When I watched the debate last night, like some of the people in the videos, I wanted them both to do more. But I wanted Kamala to do more. I really did. I thought there were places where she missed an opportunity, but after having rewatched it, watching some of the responses, I understand why she did what she did. It is a strategy of just let them keep talking. And it's funny to me how, of course, MAGA and his supporters have come through and say, oh, now she's wearing earbuds in her ears, right? She's got these listening devices in her ears, right? So that's what's giving her the answers. Okay. Not only that, it was 3 against 1. It was 3 against 1 because the moderators were against Donald too. And that just wasn't true. He just has more trash to pick up and to pick on and to talk about. That's it. They have to talk about the ridiculous things that he said. And then they asked Kamala to respond. So it wasn't 3 against 1. He just had a lot of trash and garbage to go through. But you can't seem to get people to realize that. But what did you think? Get in the comments and let me know. Did you get together with a group and watch it? Did you pop popcorn? Because I know we did. We sat right here on this couch with a couple of us, popcorn, our drinks, and we were ready for this debate. And we've never done that before. This is how I know. The fact that there were watch parties for this debate, I know it tells me that the world is ready. The world is fed up. They're ready for a change. No matter what that is, they're ready for something. And they wanted to see what these candidates could deliver. And I personally feel that Kamala Harris, VP Kamala Harris, delivered. But you get in those comments and you let me know what you think. And one final thing, I am immensely disturbed and deeply tired of hearing Donald Trump referred to as President Trump. There is no other former president that is called President Trump. None before him. They don't exist. George Bush is called former President George Bush. Okay? Can we stop that? It keeps filling the narcissist's mind with ridiculousness, and he keeps believing that he won. 81 million, and let's say that again, 81 million U.S. citizens voted Donald Trump out of the presidency. Period. That's it. He thought if he won 63 million, because that's what he won in 2016, that would be enough. It wasn't. 81 million U.S. citizens fired Donald Trump. Let's stop calling him President Trump for right now. If he wins again, great, we'll call him president. But for right now, the president of the United States is Joe Biden. And hopefully the incumbent president of the United States is Kamala Harris. Anyway, that's all the videos I have. I'm sure I'll be doing another one just for the MAGAs. So until then, toodles.